Now let us look at one example of drying time. Now drying time is dependent on nature of material. Okay, my drying time is dependent on nature of material. Now what I will do, the null hypothesis here is, nature of material is not affecting the drying time, and the alternative hypothesis will be nature of material is affecting the drying time. Now there can be two types of nature of material. So two types of nature of material would be, one is chemical, another is uh, physical. Okay, that's what you are giving. Okay, chemical and physical. So I'll put as C and P. Now, how much is the drying time approximately? Can you tell me how much is the drying time in your process? 22 hours. So now I will take different examples. I'm just interested in knowing the drying time. Whether my drying time is equal to 22 hours or more than 22 hours. I collected the data: 22 hours, 23 hours, 21 hours, 22.5 hours, 22 hours, 21 hours, 20 hours, and 22 hours. Average was 23 hours. Average was 23 hours. Now I want to test the hypothesis. Or let us say average is, let me make it, 21 hours. And the KPI is that it should be less than 22 hours. That is what the expectation from this process is. It should be less than 22 hours. Now tell me, I have collected the data, I have taken the average, 21 hours is the average. What is my conclusion? In this process, is the drying time less than 22 hours or not? Tell me, what is your conclusion? What will you say? So this is just the sample. Should I feel happy that it is less than 22? No, no. I have to do one t test. I have to do one t test. I have to look at one t test. One t test means what? One sample is given to me. I want to test it against the target value. Remember that? Remember that? I want to test it against the target value. If the population standard deviation is known, then I can do one z test also. But right now I'll be doing one t test, right? So I'll do a one t test and I get a p value of 0.6. Tell me, what do I say? So I'm doing one t test, mu versus a target value. Here my null hypothesis is mu is equal to 22 and HA is, alternative is, mu is less than 22. Mu A is, it is less than 22. That's what I want to prove. That's what I suspect. Null is mu is equal to 22 and HA is, mu is less than 22. See, every time we are trying to reject null, our whole effort is to try to reject null. Okay, so I'll do a 1t test and I do a p-value. I get a p-value and the p-value is, let us say it is how much? Let's say 0.6. Okay, 0.66, let us say. What is your conclusion? What is your conclusion? It is equal to 22. It is not more than 22. Sorry, it is not less than 22. Okay. But a layman will say what? They will say, well, I collected the data, I found it is 22. How can you say that? Sorry, I collected the data, it is 21. How can you say that it is less than or it is not less than 22? So p value, p is 0.66. P is 0.66. If p is 0, then I will say yes, it is less than 22. Now, in both the situations, let us look at both the situations. If p value is more than 0.05, I'm saying I'm accepting null. That means I'm saying mu is equal to 22 and alternative is mu is less than 22. I'm accepting null. How will you explain this to a person? Because x bar is clearly 21. So the explanation would be that imagine, see, I am making a judgment about the whole driving time of the company. Like so many, like so many things we are trying, right? And the overall average drying time, I'm making a conclusion based on the small samples. I collected 30-40 samples, and based on that, I'm making a judgment about my whole process. So let's assume, suppose the mu was 22. Mu was 22, really. If I collect 20 sample from this, will I get always 22? I won't get always 22. I will sometimes get 21, sometimes 23. This whole thing will follow normal distribution. So I will talk about this in a short while. I will discuss. This is coming from central limit theorem. Okay? So I will get my confidence interval, 95% confidence interval of the population mean. Okay, and based on that, I will make a judgment. So if I'm likely to get 20 to 24 as my 95% confidence interval, I will say, look at the sample. If the sample is within this band, I'll say it is likely to get 21. Even though if you are 22, you are likely to get 21. But suppose this was, let's say, 19. Suppose this was 19. Will I say the same thing again? Now, if it is for 19, the p-value would be less than 0.05. In this case, p-value will be 9 or less than 0.05, and my conclusion will be I have sufficient evidence that you are less than 22. Okay, so this just remember. So this was one t-test. Now let us look at the two t-test. That there are two, chemical and physical, that C and P types of material. Material C, material P. Now I am collecting the data. Chemical, I'm drying time is, let's say, 18, 17, 18, 19. For P, the drying time is 23, 24, 23, 24. Null hypothesis is that nature of material is not affecting the drying time, and HA is nature of materials affecting the drying time. I can also change the null and alternative a little bit differently. I can also say that drying time, mean drying time of C is equal to mean drying time with P. And I suspect drying time with chemical C is less than drying time with P. Okay. It is telling the same thing, that nature of material is not affecting. You use C or P, doesn't matter. I mean, nature of material is not impacting the drying time. But alternative is, yes, it is impacting. C is less than P. And then I'll get my P values. And here it appears to me the P value will be less than 0.05. Because obviously looking at the data also, And you can do it in your Minitab as well. You'll find that p-value is less than 0.05. Up to here you are with me. If you want to revise the overall, all the hypothesis tests once again, I think last time we had covered the different combinations X and Y and what are the tests we are going to learn. So if you want to look at that one more time, I can go through that one more time also. But if you are understanding this and if you are able to understand whatever I'm telling, that means you are good. So are you fine up to here? Have you understood? Are you with me? Okay, great. Yes. Okay, great. So I had 1T, I had 2T. Now what happens if I have three types of material, C, P, and one more material I will add, that is like L? Then I will use ANOVA. Then I'll be using ANOVA, analysis of variance. So I've got one more. Let us see. Let us put this as. So here in this case, I will say I cannot use 2T test. I will be using ANOVA. So let us take an example. So let us open a file called ANOVA. There's a vendor document. I think the file name is vendor. And the problem is that are the vendors, the raw material supplied by the vendors, are they same? If I use vendor A's material, my productivity is given, my production is given there. If I use vendors B's material, my production is given there. So let us have a look at that. Okay, so you can see that here, vendor A, B, C, D. There are four vendors here, and we want to see the productivity of vendor A, B, C, D. If I use vendor A's raw material, is it impacting? Is the vendor significant factor? Are all vendors same or one of them is different? I want to know that. So I'll use a ANOVA. But before I use the ANOVA, let us look at only, let's say only one vendor. Let us revise our 1T test. I want to see vendor A, the raw material, if I use vendor A's raw material, production is how much? I say vendor A is claiming that my production would be 95 or above 95. And I collected some data and I found this 91, 93, 97, something like that. I want to check whether it is above 95 or not. So let me use 1T test. So let us quickly use 1T test on that. Go to stat. Basic statistics and 1T test. Okay, go to 1T test. Yes, please click on 1T. And we want to see vendor A, is it more than 95 or not? So let us see. Let us find out it is more than 195 or not. Yeah. So p-value is more. So what is the conclusion? He's not more than 95. He's equal to or less than 95. Okay. So let us see one more time. Tell me this vendor A is more than 95 or not. I want to see that. Vendor A is more than 95 or not. So I go to stat, go to basic statistics, go to one sample T, and then I put the column name as vendor A. That's what my sample is in vendor A. I put vendor A in the window, and after that, in that field, yeah, and I put my Mean, hypothesized mean. How much it is? Hypothesized mean is 95. I think he's 95. I want to check whether he's above 95 or not. So 95 is my mean against which I want to check. And I go to options. In the options, I choose more than. I choose more than. Am I more than 95? Because I want to, my alternative is more than. I feel it is more than. That's what I feel. And the p-value I'll get, if I click on OK, the p-value will be is more than 0.05. So clearly it is my p-value is 0.931. You will be 93% wrong. You will be 93% wrong if you say that vendor A is affecting or is more than 95. Do you want to be 93% wrong? No. Then rather I will accept my null. I will say, sorry, Mr. Vendor A, you are not above 95. So that is what the conclusion would be. Okay. Got it? Okay. Now, let us look at the two vendors, vendor A and B. Who's better? I feel vendor A is less than vendor B. I took a let's say quick graphical summary. I hope you remember how to make a graphical summary. Let us quickly make a graphical summary. By the way, let me also tell you one more condition. 1T test, 2T tests, ANOVA. One of the precondition is the sample should be normally distributed. The sample should be normally distributed. So let us say I used 1T test, but I should have checked whether vendor A sample is normally distributed or not. Let us check. First, go to stat, basic statistics, and graphical summary. I'll get my Anderson-Darling normality test p-value, and p-value is more than 0.05. That means it is normally distributed. P-value is less than 0.05. That means it is non-normal. So let us see. Now here I'm using both vendor A and vendor B, okay, together. So I can, okay, let's go ahead with vendor A and B, okay, together. And vendor A p-value, vendor B is more than 0.05. Yes, it is normally distributed. And vendor A more than 0.05. It is, yes, normally distributed. So I can use 1T and 2T and even ANOVA if I want to use with vendor A, vendor B, and we can check for vendor C and D also. They are also normally distributed. So I can use 1T, 2T and ANOVA. Okay. Now with vendor A and B, let us see. Let us do 2T tests. I want to know whether A is less than B or not, vendor B is more than A or not. So let us do a 2T test on that. Stat, basic statistics, and 2T, 2 sample T. Stat, basic statistics, 2 sample T. And then choose vendor A and vendor B in your field. And of course, drop down menu, you have to choose that levels are in separate columns. See, the factor is known as, X factor is known as factor. The X factor is known as the factor here. The levels are the categories. So levels are in separate columns. Here, vendor A and vendor B are separate columns. So that is why we are taking vendor A and vendor B. But if you look at that vendor and yield, there are two columns also given there on that on the side C5 and C6. Can you please separate them out? Yeah. There's okay. So here we are looking at vendor A, B right now. So vendor A and vendor B, let us do a two sample t test. Go to stat, basic statistics, two sample t test, and then my levels are where? Where are my levels? Levels are in separate columns. Okay, each sample is in separate column. Sample one is vendor A. I can put vendor B also in sample 1, but my alternative accordingly will change. So right now I am putting vendor A as first column, vendor B as second column, and I am choosing options. And in options, because vendor A I have put first, so I want to, my gut feeling is looking at the mean, vendor A is less than vendor B. That's what I feel. So let us look at vendor A is less than B as my, I'll be putting that as my alternative hypothesis. So let us do that. Okay, that's great. Click on OK, and you are getting it here is, what you are getting here is P values more, no, less than 0.03 means yes, I reject null and vendor is less than B. Okay, that is my conclusion. Okay. Vendor is less than B. I am rejecting my null. I'm saying yes, vendor is less than B. With 95% confidence, I can say I'll be 0.03 means I'll be 3% wrong if I say vendor A is less than B. I'll be 3% wrong if I reject null hypothesis. That means with confidence, I can say reject null and vendor A is less than B. Yes, with 95% confidence, I can say that. Now, if there are 4 vendors, I can't do 2 t-tests, then I'll have to do ANOVA. So let us do ANOVA, analysis of variance. Let's go to stat. Go to stat, ANOVA, and then one way, and then after that the factor levels are in different columns right now, so you have to choose that. Factor levels are in different columns, so I will put all my columns where I have got my levels after factor levels are in different columns, right? So factor data are in separate column for each factor level. That's what I'm choosing. So here vendor A, vendor B, vendor C, vendor D, I'll put all of them in that field, and I will click on OK, and I'll get my p-value, and p-value will tell me, p-value will tell me this is the confidence interval is also given. I'll talk about confidence interval today. Okay, so p-value is 0.022. P-value is 0.022. P is low, null must go. P is low, null must go. What does it mean? Null was all vendors are same. Null to be rejected. That means at least one vendor is higher or lower than the others. That is known as ANOVA for more than 2 levels. ANOVA. Let us see one more time. Let us see one more time. Go to stat, ANOVA, one way, vendor A, B, C, D. All of them to be put. And then click on OK. P-value is less than 0.05. That means go a little bit up, you will get the p-value. That is ANOVA, full form is analysis of variance. ANOVA, analysis of variance. The table is given and p-value is also given there. P-value is less than 0.05. Reject null. What was null? Vendor is not affecting. Sorry, vendor is not affecting, and all vendors are same. That was the null. So I'm rejecting null and I'm saying yes, vendor is affecting. One of the vendor is high or low. Now, which one of the vendor is high or low? I'll get 2 hints. First, I'm getting a graph, so I can get a hint from there, but a better way of doing things. So first, let us look at the graph. All of you got one graph. So if you go to the graph, you'll see one graph is there. Now, if you look at this, vendor B and D, they are not overlapping. If you see very carefully, vendor B and D are not overlapping. So it appears that vendor B and D, they are statistically different, statistically significantly different. Okay, B and D, because they're not overlapping. But better than that, let us do a Tukey test. So what I'll do a Tukey test. Tukey means in ANOVA, while I'm doing in ANOVA, I'll choose Tukey test to give the difference between each of the vendors. So let us do this one more time. So let us do one more time ANOVA. Go to stat. ANOVA. Go to stat ANOVA. And one way. And after one way, yes, vendor A, B, C, D, you have already put in. Now go to comparisons. So I hope you are with me. P is low, null must go, right? Yeah. P is high, null must fly. Remember that. P is high, null must fly. P is high, null must accept, null must be accepted. P is low, null must be rejected. Please remember that. So vendor A, B, C, D. Go to comparisons. Click on comparisons. And click on Tukey. So click on comparisons and click on Tukey. I hope you are with me. Click on comparison, click on Tukey. And I hope you are with me. And please click on OK. Please click on OK. And now you'll get the p-value. And also Tukey p-values already we know it is 0.022. Now look at the Tukey tests. You'll get a Tukey. Tukey simultaneously 95% confidence intervals. It is telling me vendor B minus A, when I subtract all the values, vendor A from B, you see that band, that lines are there. Almost all the lines are crossing the zero, overlapping on, they're crossing the zero except one. Which one is that? Vendor D and vendor B. So vendor D minus vendor B, D is too much, like it is too big as compared to vendor B, and because of that, the vendor D minus vendor B, the B is bigger, because if you see the lines are on the negative side, it's on the negative side, right? So D minus B, so B would be higher, right? So D minus B, there is no overlapping on the zero line. That means D and B are far apart. D is like too small as compared to B. Statistically, the difference between the two is really significant, and because of that, the p-value has been forced to be below 0.05. So that is what the conclusion would be. So I will recommend to use, instead of vendor D, if there's a choice, instead of vendor D, choose B. But otherwise, other vendors are almost, there's not any statistically significant difference between the other vendors. So you can choose whichever vendor you want otherwise, except for D and B. And this is just a statistical conclusion. There can be other conclusions or based on the cost, etc. and other. But if I'm only looking at the productivity and the data which is provided to me, I will recommend that use vendor D as compared to B. If there is a choice, go for vendor D. So this is what I would use. So let us do one more time. So what we did, when I have got two or more, see, I can do ANOVA on two also. I can do ANOVA on two levels also. Even with vendor A and B, I could have done it. But two or more than two, I can do an ANOVA. So let us do ANOVA with Tukey one more time. Go to stat. Tukey is a comparison test. Basic statistics. Sorry, not basic statistics, sorry. Yeah, it's ANOVA. It's ANOVA. Now you have to guide me. I forgot. ANOVA, one way, yes, one way. Next, after that, where to go? Yeah, choose our factors, factor levels. Where are the levels? Yes, A, B, C, D. Four factors are there. Go to comparison. Go to comparison. And go to comparison. Click on Tukey. Click on Tukey and click on OK. You will get your p-value along with Tukey's graph, comparison graph. P-value is less than 0.05. I will say vendors are different, but I would like to know which vendor is different. So what I will do, I will look at the Tukey, the graph, and the graph, when I look at, it's telling me that B and A, the difference between the B and A, they're crossing over the zero line. That green line you can see in the vertical line, there's the zero line. So they are crossing over the zero line. C and A, they're also crossing over the zero line. Sometimes they are less, sometimes they're more. Sometimes C is less, sometimes A is less. Sometimes C is more, sometimes A is more. So they are spread over across zero, minus as well as plus. But look at D and B. D and B, they are not crossing over. Can you take the cursor there, please? D and B. D and B, they are not crossing over. You can see that they are on the negative side of the zero line. Means difference between D and B is significant. And because it is significant and on top of it it's negative, so B minus B is a negative value. So that means B is higher than D. So if I want to choose better productivity, I will choose vendor B. Okay. So Tukey's comparison test is used to see the differences within the factor levels. We can have, here we have 4, we can have 5, we can have 6, we can have 7. Okay. So if I want to choose my vendors, if there is a choice for me for the vendors, so I will recommend that please choose vendor B. B is better, right? Yeah. So B is something which is better than the rest, and it is significantly more than D for sure. So you should choose B. So zero line is for comparisons. Zero line is for the comparison. All the data are subtracted. All the data points of B and D, A and B are subtracted from each other. So sometimes the difference between the two is negative. Sometimes it is more. Sometimes 23 minus 24 is minus. Sometimes this is 26 and this is 24. So it is plus 2. Sometimes minus, sometimes plus 2. But if it is only A is all, here in this case, D is less always and B is always more. So clearly, statistically, it is significant. The difference is statistically significant. Okay. Okay, so that was our Tukey test. Let us take an example of production in a manufacturing company, and we want to see whether it's affected by machine. And let us say we have got two machines, machine A and machine B, and we have got production as the Y, which is continuous data, and machine, which is attribute data. So here my null hypothesis will be machine is not the null hypothesis is machine is not significant. Machine is not significant. And HA is machine is significant. Machine is the root cause. Machine is the important factor. Machine is the root cause. And I've got, let's say, two machines. So how I'll check that? I'll transform this H0 to production of machine A is equal to production of machine B. And it is not equal to, I can say, or if suppose I suspect something, usually we will suspect something based on the sample. So I can just say that, let's say if the data is something like my overall average production is 100, but when I use machine, I use 85, 85, 85, and 86. And here it is 110, 120, or 100 and say 115, 115, and 115. So I suspect that machine A production is less than machine B. And this is what the data is. Or if you want, we can make it a little close also. Let us make it a little closer. $95, $95, $95, $96, $104, $104, $103, and $104. Now, what do you feel? Given this data, what do you think? Is machine significant? Is machine the root cause? See, null is always X is not the root cause. Null is always X is not the root cause. That means in this case, there are two machines, both are same. And what is the alternative? Alternative is one of them is higher or lower. If there were three machines, I would have said mu A is equal to mu B is equal to mu C. And we'll say mu A is not equal to mu B is not equal to mu C. Any one of them is not equal. Right now we are looking at two. Mu A is equal to mu B. Mu A is less than mu B. Then what I will do? I will do a hypothesis test. Machine A, machine B. Machine A, 95, 98, 90, 95, 95, 95, 95, 96, and 95. Okay. Machine B is 102, 103, 102, 102, 102, and 102. Okay. Average production of machine A is 95 and average production of machine B is 102. In this case, my mind will do a hypothesis test. And using your mind, tell me, you will accept null hypothesis or reject null hypothesis. Using your mind, you tell me you will accept or reject. You'll reject null hypothesis. Both machine is significant. That's what you are saying. with good confidence. You are saying 95% confidence. See, 5% we may be wrong. We are scientists. We are not like that. I have decided based on my experience, based on my gut feeling that I have got 30 years of experience. I've spent 30 years in this company. Listen to me and follow me. Right? I will not say like that. I'll do see, nothing is for sure. So yeah, if you want, you can do a 2T test. Yes, you can do a 2T test, and you do a 2T test, and the 2T test will be sample 1 is A and sample B is B, and the p value. Can you predict what will be the p value? Can you predict what will be the p value? Difference is less than. A is less than B, right? Can you predict what will be the p value? Yes. When you say reject, you are going to reject the null hypothesis with full confidence. Can you predict? Can you make a guess? When the hypothesis is rejected. When the hypothesis is rejected. When do you reject a hypothesis? P is less than 0.05, isn't it? So I can predict. I can predict. Yes. Yeah, some of you are able to predict. Let us see. In fact, I can predict it must be 0. I'll be 0% wrong if I say A is less than B. I'll be 0% wrong. Now, let us look at this. I will keep the mean same. I'll keep the mean same. And now I will put a lot of variation. So I'm putting here 85 to 95, or here I'll put 105. Here I'll put, let's say, 75, and here I'll put 115. The average is still 95. Okay, average is still 95. Then 102. Now I'll make it a little bit. I'll put average 95. Yeah, 95. One more. Yeah, 95. 112. Okay. Here I'll put 92. Then here 122. Let us put 122. And here 102 minus 20 will be how much? 82. I'll put 82. 82. And 102. Yes. Now, again, if you want, I can check what is the average. Average of A. Average of A is how much? Average of A is 95. You see, I told you it is 95. Average of A is 95, right? And p-value is 0.8, like it is normally distributed also. And here B, look at the B. So look at B. Let us look at the B. It is normally distributed, and of course, it is 102. Now, any average manager, what it will be? 95, 98%, they will say machine A is less than B. Change the machine A. That's what they will say. I'm telling the data. Average production of machine A is 95. Average age, production of machine B is 102. All the managers will say yes, machine A is less than B. But black belt, what he will say, let us see. Same average is same. Average is same. P is 0.20. There is no sufficient evidence. Machine is not to be blamed. Machine is not to be blamed. Black belt will save a lot of money. They were about to throw machine A. Okay. Or they were about to take some decision of upgrading machine A. They were trying to spend $20,000 on machine A. Black belt is saying, sorry, it's a waste of your money. Don't be mean-minded. In manufacturing, such decisions are taken on a daily basis. They're taken on a daily basis by hundreds of managers around thousands of companies around the world. Tell me any manager who is seen doing 2T tests. Show me one manager in your lifetime who has done 2T tests before taking such a decision. None of them are there. Then they say my decisions go wrong. My competitor is going ahead. That's what happening. In the reality, this is what is happening. Okay. This is what is happening in reality. Okay. It should be used. If you are not using it, it's your problem. It's not statistics problem. It is not Six Sigma's problem. Oh, Six Sigma is old. Six Sigma is 30-year-old. Oh, Six Sigma is dead. They say Six Sigma is dead. They don't know these p-values are never going to die. These equations, I will see all these regression equations. They are present. Actually, machine, if they are trying to say something, machine has control limits. Average. I have got my average. I have got my standard deviation. Listen to me, please. Don't be mean-minded, sir. Don't be average-minded. Look at the standard deviation. Go for the t-test. Machine is telling you, but you are not. You are taking decisions like this. So we make decisions like this in real life, in day-to-day life. Even we take decisions based on small samples. Yeah. This person takes less time. This person takes more time. My data suggests. So this is about 2T. I could have done ANOVA also, analysis of variance also. So if I do analysis of variance, I can do analysis of variance also. No problem. See, the mean is different, 95 and 90, but the variation within A is so high and B is so high, I can't say. See, look at this data also. A is capable of producing 105 and sometimes B produces 82. How come? Some other reason is there, sir. Some other reason. Look for other factors. Make your cause and effect, the simple cause and effect diagram. I was telling in that video with my nice suit on. Please make cause and effect diagram. It is a simple tool, but very effective tool. You're never making your How many times your manager is seen making a cause and effect diagram? Cause and effect diagram should be placed on each and every machine, each and every office. I'm not talking manufacturing. In your office also, your call center, what mistakes we commit. List down all the causes, list down all the mistakes. Cause and effect diagram, simple tool. Please make it. That's why we say everyone in 10 years should be minimum a green belt. after these green belts, like you get trained after some time, black belt, of course, sorry, you are black belts. So after you get trained, you will look for people who are black belt. Some person says, sir, I'm a great mechanical engineer, I'm a chemical engineer, I'm a great accountant, I've done this accountant. Are you a black belt, sir? No, what is that black belt? Sorry, please go away. Because you don't even understand. You are mean-minded. You don't know 2T test. Sorry. So this is what is going to happen in the future. Okay, so of course, it will take some time till the time more people get this training. But let me tell you, all the very, very nice and big organizations, professional organizations, they're aware of these things. Okay, all the senior managers, the CEOs, they're aware of this part. That is why they respect black belts. So that is why you see those companies, uh, doing these advertisements like preferred green belt, preferred black belt. And if it is trained by annexes, then they know that you have been properly taught. You have understood or not, that's a different thing. But at least the person, you have been properly taught. That guarantee everyone, most of the people in the industry know. Okay, that's something which we always take pride. See, there are companies who conduct, I'm not joking, who conduct green belt in 4 hours, like 2 days of 2 hours each, and the black belt in 3 days of 2 hours. I'll not name the company, but these companies, if you look at in the Google, these company names appear first because they have done some that whatever SEO engine and all, and paid for advertisements and everything, and they are $1 million companies. Their names appear first. But I can tell you, you know, okay. By the way, let us come back to the point. Okay. Uh, so 1T test, 2T test, ANOVA. Now what happens? No, you will understand. See, by tomorrow, by day after tomorrow, your clarity will increase. It will improve drastically. See, first 1 or 2 days when you do hypothesis test, everyone is confused. Everyone is like, what's going on? Why average is less? We are telling is more, is equal to, why not? But slowly you will understand. Slowly, you will understand. Now, this was our 1T, 2T in ANOVA. One more thing, in ANOVA, you can do Anil, can you please show the vendor? See, vendor document which was given. See, I can also give this. Let's say, I'll show it here itself. I can present this data as machine, and I can present it here as the production. Machine A, and then this is the production. And machine B, and this is the production. So data can be presented to you like this or like this, either way. If the data is presented like this, and you can do it on vendor example, you can do it. So the data is presented like this. Now I'll be choosing what I'll go to stat ANOVA, one way, and here in the drop down menu I'll choose response data are in one column of all factor levels. They are in one column for all factors. I'll choose that. They're in one column, isn't it? For all factor levels, they are in one column. Response is the Y. Production. Factor. Which factor we are talking about? Machine. Good. Simple. And then I'll do my, where is my p-value? For ANOVA, I need to get a p-value. Look for the p-value. Probability. I'll be 41% wrong, sir. If I say machine A is less than B, I'll be 41% wrong, Mr. Manager. P-value is even telling you how wrong you will be. Do you want to be 41% wrong? No. I can be wrong up to 5%. See, up to 5%, I'll have to take the risk. I'll have to take some risk, right? So up to 41%, I may be wrong. But here I am wrong 41%. If I say machine A, if I take some action, I'll be wrong 41%. Sorry, I'll not take an action. Both machines are same. There is no significant, I don't have sufficient evidence to prove that A and B are different. They may be. I'm not saying they may be, but 95% confidence I can't say. So better you don't take an action. A and B are same. Okay. So we can import the data also. There is an import provision, but I find it much easier to cut paste the data. Control C and Control V is much better. That's what I have found. But there is an import. You can import also. There is some function of import, and choose the column, then column name and this name and that name. It's complicated for me. For old man, I'm now 53, so 50 approaching 53 next month, almost like 1.5 months. So for me, like it's like manual is better. But you are young guys, search for that import function. In Minitab, it's there somewhere. It's there. Once I learned 10 years ago when I used to be young, I learned about it. I've forgotten. Okay, so yes, now coming back. Now here the data was normal, so I use 1T, 2T. But if the data are not normal, now you do the same exercise on your vendor. Okay, when the data are not normal, I can use other test, which we call it as parametric, non-parametric. Non-parametrics means I don't know about the underlying distribution. They are not normal. So suppose this machine A is not normal. Means non-normally distributed. Production by machine A is not normally distributed. Machine is normal, but production data of machine A is not normal. Suppose I'll just make it not normal. Let's say 50 I'm putting. That is not normal. I cannot use 1T test. If I want to see, is my machine above 95? I want to see, is my machine above 95? Sometimes it's going up to 105, 115 also. Should I feel very happy? My average has increased above 95. So for that, I would have used 1T test. But here, the data are not normal. Hopefully, it is not normal. I just tried making it. So let us see whether this is not normal. A. Yeah, it is not. Oh, it is still normal. Oh no. Let me make it real non-normal. Oh no. Let us make it 20. Let us see what happens. Oh yes. Oh, still. Okay. I can still use 1T. Okay, let me make it. Let us make it 5. Please. Oh yes. Now the machine is not normal. Machine is not normal. Sorry. Production data of this machine is not normal. I can't use 1T. Then I have to look for some other. There is a non-parametric test. Go to stat. Non-parametric test. Go to stat, non-parametric test. One sample sign. See, this is one sample sign, one sample Wilcoxon. One sample sign, one sample Wilcoxon. Okay. This is for one replacement of 1T test. You choose anything, whatever you want. If you want to go for 2T test, Mann-Whitney, you can choose. Instead of 2T, you can choose Mann-Whitney. And instead of 3T, sorry, there is no 3T. Sorry, what was that? Yeah, ANOVA. So for ANOVA, instead of ANOVA, you will be choosing your choice: Kruskal-Wallis, Moods median, or Friedman. Any choice. So we'll take one example each for each of these non-parametric tests. Let us do that. Now you can do it for, if you want, you can do it for the vendor yield document. Or first, let me show you. Or let's say all of us, let us do it for vendor yield document. Okay. So I think let us open the file vendor yields. So can you please open the file vendor yield? So open the file vendor yield and let us see. In vendor A, I'll put 50 as one number. I'll put 50, and it will definitely make vendor non-normal. So I can choose whether it is non-normal. I'll put 50, and I'll choose check whether it's non-normal. And yes, it is not normal. So I can. Uh, I hope you have done it. Please go ahead and do the graphical summary, please. Yeah, so it is less than 0.05, so it is not normal. So I will use one sample sign test. So let us use one sample sign test. So non-parametric, all of us, you can do that. So go to stat, non-parametric, and then one sample sign test. Okay. For vendor A, please do one sample sign test. And I want to see whether you are above 95 or not. Okay. So my test median would be 95. I want to see whether the vendor A is above 95 or not. So let us see. It is more than 95. So I want to see whether you are above 95 or not. So let's say, yeah. Click on OK and let us do that. Okay. So P value is more. That means you are not more than 95. You are equal to 95 or less than. Okay. Okay. Okay, great. Now, if I have, you can do the other one also. One sample Wilcoxon. Same thing. It will, you see, the conclusions remain the same. So you can do a one sample Wilcoxon too. Please go ahead and do that. Go to one sample Wilcoxon, non-parametrics, one sample Wilcoxon, vendor A, and then choose test median as 95 and yes. So what is the null hypothesis here? What was the null hypothesis? My vendor is equal to 95. What is the alternative hypothesis? It is more than 95. Okay. So the p-value is high, null must fly. Means you are equal to 90. You are not more than 95. When we are doing one sample t-test, we test the median. Sorry, we test the mean. When we are taking one sample sign test, I am testing for the median. Okay. When we did one sample t, we were testing for the mean. Now I'm testing for the median. Okay, now let us go by the A and B, two vendors. So instead of 2T, I'll be using Mann-Whitney. Let us see, vendor A is less than B or not. I'm suspecting. So vendor, null hypothesis will be vendor A and B are same. Write that down, please. In your notebook, please write it down. Null hypothesis is vendor A is equal to vendor B. Mu of vendor A is equal to mu of vendor B. And then what is the alternative hypothesis? Mu of vendor A, not mu, sorry, median. Median of A is less than B. That's what I suspect. So which test I will be using? Non-parametric, because the data are not normal and I'll be using non-parametric test, and this time I'll be using Mann-Whitney test. Let us go ahead with Mann-Whitney test. Go to stat and non-parametrics, and go to Mann-Whitney test. Go to non-parametrics. Yes, Mann-Whitney test. Click on that, and then first sample is in A, and second sample is in B, and yes. P-values less than 0.0205, right? 0.05. That means the last value is the p-value. It is less than 0.05. That means reject null. Yes, A is less than B. Median of A is less than B. Median of A is less than B. Now, if all four vendors are there, I cannot use here ANOVA because they are not normally distributed. So I will use mood median test. So let us do that mood median test. Let us do mood median test. Let us do the mood median test, please. Go ahead, please. Non-parametrics, mood median test. Response. Where is the response? Response is yield. And factor is in vendor. And click OK. And you will get your p-value. The p-value is how much it is? It is high, I think. It is high, more than 0.05. More than 0.05. So, oh, there is no sufficient evidence between to say that medians are different. There is no sufficient evidence to say that medians are different. All vendor medians are same. Okay, fine. With that data, which is not normal, I can't say that vendors are significantly different. Ideally, what I would have done is, if I find the data are not normal, I will try to remove the outlier, and then I will try to make it normal and then do an ANOVA. But if I'm not able to do that, then it's okay, no problems. I can do another test, like non-parametric tests. Okay. Now one more thing is there. Please make me the presenter. Now, let's go back to our 2D. Let us go back to our 2D. Now you have become expert. Now tell me. So after a while, we'll be repeating all the tests. We'll revise all the tests. Okay. So let me look at before and after. Let us say you are conducting a training. You are conducting a training. And you want to know whether the training is effective or not. You are in HR department. You are in training department, and you want to consider when training is effective or not. And you collect the data of two sets. So, I have got one group which is untrained, and I give them some exam. And this is their scores out of 100. They score like this: 35, 45, 67, 78, 54, and 84. And then I have got another group which is trained. So that is like, say, let us say 49, 39, say 69, say 82, 87, and let's say 58. This is no training. Or one group which is before training, and another, the same group, or maybe another group, it's after the training. Now, if I take an average, if I take a quick average of both, let us do a graphical summary on both before and after. Take a quick average on both. Normally distributed, yes. After is 64, mean is 64 after, and before is 60. Before the training, average is 60, after the training 64. Tell me, training is effective or not? Tell me, training is effective or not? Most of the people will say effective, but don't be mean-minded. Don't be mean-minded. Don't be mean-minded. You have got a test. You are black belt. You have got a test. Which test you will use? Null hypothesis is, your null hypothesis is, let me use null hypothesis. Null hypothesis is test score before is equal to test score after, and before, I suspect it is less than after. Okay. I can even write like this, mu before minus mu after is equal to 0. Mu before minus mu after is equal to, sorry, is less than 0. It is one and the same thing. I'm writing in the same. This is known as test difference. So when I'm saying before is equal to after, this is the test difference. We call it as a test difference. So let me do a 2T test here. Where is Mr. 2T? 2T, please give me 2T. Give me 2T, give me 2T. Yes, 2 T's I want. Basic statistics, 2 sample T tests. Before and after. Before and after. Okay. What do you suspect, sir? Before is less than after. That's what. Okay. And click on OK. 0.378. P is high, null must fly. Okay. P is high, null must fly. Right? P is high, null must fly. Before, see, I checked before and after, right? Before and after I checked. Normality also I checked. While doing this, before and after, I checked for the normality. P value is higher than 0.05. Yeah, normality is there, normal. That is why I'm doing 2T. Now, what will be your conclusion? Training is ineffective. But let me tell you one thing. I trained how many? 6 people. And this is the data of, actually, before, this is A, Mr. A. Before he scored 35, and afterwards he scored 39. Let me put this data here as 39. And B, before he scored 45, and afterwards he scored 49. So 49 I have put it here, but now I'll put it in the paired way. This is 49, This is 49 and this is 39. C, he was already intelligent before training 67, after training 69. D, super intelligent. He already knew a lot of stuff, but after the training also he improved. E, before training 54, after training 58. I'll put it 58 here. And this was 87 for them. F, oh, he was like too intelligent, masters. But after the training also he improved. Now, the data are paired. You have to compare the two numbers. See, right now also before and after, if I let me do the basic stat, the graphical summary for both before and after again. Before is still 60 same. After also same 64. If I do a 2T test, I will still get there is no difference between the two. Because I'm doing 2T test. But a better test would be paired T test. When I do paired, I am saying, please compare this with this, this with this, this with this. Pair the data. So I'm doing paired T test. Let us do a paired T test. Basic test. Paired T test. Paired T test. Now A and B are paired. Before and after are paired. Before and after. Now B value is 0. Oh, before is less than after. Training is effective. Training is effective. Okay. Training is effective. Please understand this part. Okay. So this is how we do our test. So we have learned 1T, see 1Z, 1T, paired T, ANOVA. Then we have learned one sample sine, one sample Wilcoxon, I think so. I also passed my black belt exam using open book. So I used to refer to the book. You can refer. See, someone asked Albert Einstein once, what is your phone number? So Albert Einstein said, okay, let me look into my diary. And he started looking into the diary. So the person told, "Hey, Mr. Albert Einstein, you are Einstein. You can't remember your phone also." So Mr. Einstein said, well, I don't want to clutter my brain with that information which I can find somewhere else. So let my brain be free for thinking, ideating, getting new equations. So a black belt is like Einstein. Don't try to remember anything. Don't try to remember any formula. Understand the application. Formulae are there. Minitab it will be there forever. And expert advice will also be there forever. No, this material will be there with you. You can refer to that material any number of times. If you are confused, we are always there. A person attended my training after 10 years. It's one of the batches. It was a weekend batch. So he attended in 2010 and then attended in 2021, in fact, after 11 years. Just to refresh. And you can do that too, anytime. You can attend it but if you are attending second time, then there is one important thing. You can't ask questions. That is one thing. And also there is a deterrent fee in case you are attending one more time. Very, very minimal, so that not everyone, otherwise, every batch will have 100, 200 people. So we don't want that as well. But you can attend any number of times. In fact, when I'm conducting the session in your city at any point of time, you can join that totally free of cost. Only you need to pay that lunch fee or that whatever that administration fee of that hotel. It's just expenses. That's it. Just expenses. And you can attend in classroom also. Okay, so that's very good advantage of the people who are doing it online. So you can always take that advantage in future.